Welcome everybody to the Tea with Ms McGill Show, fueled by Blue Line Brews. Welcome to episode 30. Right here, or you can see behind us. So Blue Line Brews, couple words on Blue Line Brews here. Save 15 is the promo code, bluelinebrews.com. Scroll down into the show notes. You can jump right over to their webpage. And like I said, save 15 at checkout will save you 15%. For those of you in the Bemidji area, Blue Line Brews now available at some stores in that area, Cass Lake, Bemidji. Keep your eye out for this label. All right, there's Blue Line Brews. And if you are a store owner looking to possibly carry Blue Line Brews, just jump onto their Facebook page, DM them, and just wait for a response there. You might be in the cards there to offer the product. So like I said, bluelinebrews.com. Thank you for everything you're doing. And like I said, welcome to episode 30. I am Puka. This is Reed Larson. How's your week? It's cold outside.
It is chilly. Episode 30 already. Wow, we've been doing this for well over a year now and putting up some episodes. This is fun. We've been picking up some new followers. The week's been good. It's starting to chill out a little bit here in northern Minnesota. We were a little spoiled this last weekend. I think we got close to about 30 degrees the other day.
3 days in a row.
And now we get hit with a little dusting last night of snow, and the frigid temperatures are starting to hit. It's going to get even more ugly tomorrow.
Yeah, I saw that, like 23 below on Thursday night. So, yeah, no fun. All right, well, we'll dig into a lot of hockey action here because there's a lot going on. We're like Reed had mentioned the dog days here a couple of weeks ago, but we're thick into hockey. Just want to touch base on a game that I was covering last week. We previewed it. It was the Greenway Northern Lakes game up in Greenway. If any of you saw that, a lot of problems with the scoreboard. Sometimes the score was showing, sometimes the time was showing, sometimes nothing was showing, sometimes only the penalties were showing. Greenway pulls off a pretty courageous win there, 5-3. So we had mentioned, Greenway being in the state tournament down in 19, Northern Lakes being in the state tournament last year. So a big win for Greenway. They're still trying to grind up and see if they can crack that top 10 again in single A. You were at, of course, because you coach, Grand Rapids CEC last night. I have no idea what happened with that game, so you'll have to fill me in and all of us in.
Yeah, so last night it was a 10-1 victory for the Thunderhawks over at the Northwoods Credit Union Arena in Cloquet. It got a little chippy there. The game actually started out at a fairly decent pace. Cloquet was off to a good start. Zach Lagergren got the start. Senior goaltender got the start last night for Grand Rapids. His first start of his high school career. He's played a total of 5 periods now in his career, but he got the start and he got the win. It kind of turned out at the beginning of the game there where Grand Rapids was a little bit on their heels. You had Cloquet Carlton making a nice push with some hard work, getting pucks to the net. Lago had to make some saves there early on in the game. And then once Rapids settled in and started utilizing their strengths and their speed, it was all Rapids from probably the 12-minute mark of the first period throughout the rest of the game. So, really there was only about 5 minutes where there was some hard pressure coming from Cloquet. But Rapids really kind of shifted gears. Hayden DeMars last night with the hat trick for the Thunderhawks.
Yep.
There were a couple of moments during the game where frustrations hit both sides. There was a 5-minute major and an ejection on a hit at center ice against a Grand Rapids player. There was a Cloquet Esco Carlton player that was ejected from the game. And then late in the game, there was a Grand Rapids player that finished a check and an unfortunate spin, and the guy went in at first. There was a boarding penalty for a 5-minute major and a game ejection there too. So, Jeez. 2 players that'll have to be likely taking the day off here in their next game. But we won't get into detail. We don't like to really. We'll highlight players that are scoring goals and getting points, and we'll pat those guys on the back. We don't need to shame people that have made mistakes and get into that. So we won't get into that conversation. But yeah, Hayden DeMars, 3 goals last night. And actually, since our last show, Rapids last week was in Duluth. They played Duluth Denfeld and had a big win over Duluth Denfeld again there. I can't remember what the score was. Was it 8 or 9-1? Hayden DeMars had a hat trick in that game too.
Oh,
so
he's
2
heating up.
back-to-back games where Hayden DeMars had hat tricks. That second line for Grand Rapids has really been on the last couple of games. They've Justin Kerr and Henry Sturl and Hayden DeMars have just been flying. And that's, Hayden is kind of the straw that stirs the drink when he's moving in that lineup there. Those guys are picking up points. They're doing the things they do on their line. That line was really pumping, which got them going. And the rest of the game, it was on par. Joey Del Greco had 2 goals. Like I said, Hayden DeMars had a hat trick. There was a couple other really nice goals that took place in that game. Rapids took that one. It looked like it was a rather easy coasting game for them, but Cloquet came out hard, and you got to give them credit for that. But they just couldn't keep up with the pace.
Okay. Well, we'll touch base on Rapids some more. They got a big week coming up here, so congratulations on the win. The Rink Sports Bar, our friends over in Eveleth, just down from the Hockey Hall of Fame. We talked a little bit about this last week, now serving breakfast. They did a little soft opening on breakfast about 6 weeks ago, and they didn't want us to mention it until they worked out the kinks. So the kinks are worked out. So if you're looking for breakfast in the Quad Cities area, the Rink Sports Bar is where you want to go. Full bar, full menu, Friday fish fry. You can order online, the rinksportsbarandgrill.com, or give them a buzz, 248-8582. All right, we were talking earlier about kind of being in the dog days here we're a little over probably halfway through the season here. So we've got a lot of hockey behind us. And I was just wondering, Reed, have you noticed any kind of themes of the season so far as we're looking at this high school hockey up here, kind of up in the Northland, or I guess maybe even just in the whole state, but just any themes really stick out to you for the 21-22 season so far?
Well, I guess 2 themes kind of stick out for me right now. I think if we're looking at the season as a whole for high school hockey in the state of Minnesota, I think one of those themes is kind of the reboot of high school hockey to its normal ways. I mean, we spent an entire season last year masking players on the ice and not having fans in the building, and it's gotten back to a level of kind of normal. There'll be a state tournament again this year. It's still not going to look the same way that it did 2 years ago. It'll be better than it was last year. There'll be spectators there. But as you know, there's some things going on down in the Twin Cities, whether that be Minneapolis or St. Paul. They've got vaccination laws and community rules that are down there about people having to be vaccinated in public places and venues or masking.
Yeah, the masking is back, I believe, and all that.
Or having to be tested before going into a facility. So there's a lot of that going on. I do like to say it's the year of recovery from, a pandemic that we're still dealing with right now. And don't even get me started on this topic. That's one.
Well,
go ahead.
Someone was saying, they put the mandate in. And maybe it hadn't started yet, but someone was just a couple days ago was talking about the Wild game, and they said that there was nobody they watched the other night on TV, and there was like nobody masked. So I don't know if it was pre the mandate or people just weren't listening and it wasn't being enforced. I don't know if you had heard or seen anything, but yeah, I mean, as far as I know, any public venue or, bar, restaurant, entertainment, you need to be masked now since last week, sometime in Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Yeah, I don't know what the mask mandates are, or nor do I pay too much attention to it at this point right now. Like I said, I can't even get into that conversation with you because it's when I start talking about those things, my blood pressure raises, and I start to get irritated. So what I do know is that theme right now, it's been nice to see at least a half a season of something that looks like somewhat normal of a regular high school hockey season.
Well,
so that's the first theme.
Yeah. And I don't think it's like last year, we just didn't know if it was going to get cut off like any day. Like, you know what I mean?
You
like,
never know.
Was this going to, are they just going to stop sports or stop? We're going to go back out of school and all that. So yeah, I have to agree there. Any other themes?
Yeah, the other theme is I think this kind of started back, a month and a half ago when the season started, when you asked the questions about did you see the Michigan play that took place in the NHL? And now since that took place again, and it's been spotlighted on all the different highlights and ESPN and all these other things, you got high school kids that are trying to do it. And, it's, so I guess the Michigan play is one of the other themes. It's been rejuvenated. And if you're not sure what the Michigan play is, I mean, I don't know what rock you've been hiding under when it comes to the hockey world, but this goes back to the NCAA tournament back in 1996. This was Michigan versus Minnesota, albeit the University of Minnesota.
Frozen Four.
Yep, in the Frozen Four, Steve DeBus is in the net, and you got Mike Legg. Well, Michigan is on a power play, and Mike Legg does the old lacrosse play where he puts the blade of his stick down on top of the puck, pushes down on it and lifts it up on his stick, rolls it around the front of the net and shoves it in the upper corner. Well, you've got people and players that are trying to do this all the time at high school hockey. When somebody makes an effort to do this at the professional level and it makes the highlights, these kids are going to try to do it. Whether it's a play like that is a highlight, or whether it's this new celly that they want to try to do because somebody did this celly. It was funny. We were just talking about this in the pre-show. The cellies are the same thing. They're still doing this over the years. They just saw a clip of Mercury Bischoff from the GRG girls hockey team, and she's a little clip, and she scored one of her 4 or 5 goals she scored against Superior. Who knows how many she scored, but she sets her glove down on the ice and she does like a field goal extra point or whatever type of kick with her glove. It was pretty funny, but it's like,
I've never seen that.
I just wonder at what point in time they've already at the high school level now have made a penalty happen for somebody that taunts the student section of another school. So if you score a goal, let's say that you're from Hibbing and you score a goal against Greenway, if you are the player and you skate over to the Greenway student section and taunt them by jumping up the glass or pointing, or they can give some sort of a penalty for doing that. So at some point in time, they're going to do this for some of these cellies. It just depends on, are they cute cellies, or are they funny, or are they directed towards taunting?
Wow.
So, yeah, but like I said, we got off on a tangent on that. It was more so thinking about the play of the Michigan play has been kind of a theme of this year of not only high school hockey, but I think even around college and professional hockey.
Yeah, well, Zegras, I think that was his name, right, from Philly. He did it, a month ago or so ago. So I think it rejuvenated everybody and got it back in the minds of everybody. That's interesting. Normally we're talking about themes. I'm thinking, whatever teams are, a lot of checking from behinds this year, or whatever, or teams are whatever low percentage on the power play this year for whatever. We're talking about the Michigan goal as a theme, but I do agree, that I think that Zegras, I think it was Zegras, kind of rejuvenated that. All right. Anything else on themes? Oh, all right. If you're liking what you hear from the Tea with Ms. McGill show, please subscribe, smash the like button, smash the thumbs up. If you really, really like us and really want to go out on a limb, maybe share the episode. We'd appreciate that. Iron Range Apparel, Thunderbird Mall in Virginia, ODR line, outdoor rink, Iron Range Hockey. Find all kinds of apparel there, and especially, like I said, exclusively the ODR outdoor rink line, hats, sweatshirts, t-shirts, baseball caps, everything. Like I said, 16 or 17, I got to find that out. Year-old entrepreneur, plays for Rock Ridge Wolverines, started this line, and it definitely is growing. Like you said, your nephew from, where's he from?
Buffalo,
Minnesota, knew the line. So if you're looking for some cool apparel, especially on these cold days, cold nights, jump over to the Thunderbird Mall and get your ODR apparel there exclusively, like I said, at Iron Range Apparel. All right, time for some previewing. Coming up this weekend, I can't believe this, the 16th annual Hockey Day in Minnesota, the Mankato version this year. Girls High School, Edina Andover. Boys High School, Prior Lake, East Grand Forks. By the way, East Grand Forks Warroad last night was postponed. I'm assuming it was weather. Well, that weather that came through, let's hope it's not some COVID thing, or maybe it was precautionary so they don't get the COVID so they can head down. So Prior Lake, East Grand Forks. At the NCAA Division I level, St. Thomas, brand new. The Tommies, 2 Division I hockey. They are 2-22, little tough. So, of course, playing Minnesota State Mankato, who right now on the U.S. College Hockey website, number two in the country. So another impressive year for Mankato and Mike Hastings. And then the Chicago Blackhawks will face off against your Minnesota Wild. Any comments on Hockey Day?
Hockey Day is just, it's always a fun piece. I mean, I've had the experience of being a part of it before as a coach. They didn't have that around when we played Puka, but
Right.
man, would that have been fun to be able to get involved in an outdoor hockey game and the whole entire experience. But, you know, it's been in Grand Rapids before. It was here back in 2013. At the time I was coaching in Virginia and hosting games there. We didn't get a chance to come over and watch it on Pekegama Lake, but a couple of years ago when I was helping coach the girls hockey team in Grand Rapids Greenway, we got to be a part of it down in Minneapolis. And I'll tell you what, that experience for those kids is unbelievable. The coverage that everybody gets through Valley Sports North, all the coverage they get around the state, whether that be all these different high level Twitter handles and all the social media that's out there, and Youth Hockey Hub, they really do a nice job of promoting that for these kids, and they make it a big deal.
Yeah.
I'm excited again to watch it. Who knows what the weather is going to be like? It's probably going to be cold. But the good news is me watching it, I'll probably have to set the DVR to be able to watch those here, because we'll have games of our own that are being hosted at home. So.
I'm going to check the weather here. See, well, let me see. I've got White Bear Lake programmed in. So Saturday, 5 and 24 down there. 5 degrees for a low, 24 for a high. So
That's not too shabby.
Yeah, and that's White Bear Lake. Mankato's a little further south. I do remember the 2000. As a matter of fact, the 2013 game, Hibbing played Blaine, possibly.
No, I think it was Eastview
or somebody. Okay, so
Yeah.
or
Egan. It was Egan.
Egan. There you go.
It was Egan.
Yeah.
That's
Blue.
because
Blue? Are they blue?
it was
Yeah,
blue
okay.
and
Yeah,
green.
so I
Well,
know
I knew that because it was two guys that were really good friends that were coaching against each other. It was Mike Taylor and Mark DeCenzo
Yeah.
were really good friends.
Yeah.
So Hibbing was playing against Egan.
And they had said that the weather was going to move in because in the morning it was nice. You know, it was one of those clear days, and we hemmed and hawed about going. Cole Schaefer from Hibbing, Allison was in nets. Adam Johnson was on that team. You know, some of those guys, Bestel, Josh, and so I ended up listening to the weatherman, and boy, it was a good thing. And of course, it was on TV. You could just watch it on TV because you could just see how day those temps dropped. And then I think it was Hibbing versus GR in the girls' game at night. And by that time, it was for a reason cold with wind chill and all that. But yeah, an exciting thing, 16th annual. I can't believe that. I remember the second one in 08 when they played on the river up in Baudette. I believe Eveleth went up and played in that one. I think they played Lake of the Woods, and then Roseau played somebody from down in the cities, but literally on the river, which was pretty interesting.
Well, they'll never do that again. It sounds to me that any of the outdoor games now from here on out that are through and sponsored through Minnesota Hockey Day, everything is run through the Minnesota Wild now, and they make sure that everything has got a legit rink. It'll never be on another lake, or it'll never be on another river. It will always be at a place where they can put artificial ice in and put down a cooling system and this and that. And it's unfortunate that you can't do that, but there's safety precautions that they do with that to be able to actually have the game. If something goes wrong where the lake is too slushy, then they still have to have the refrigeration system. So you might as well just put it on the field or this or that. So, they're going to be doing that, obviously, Mankato right on the field.
Right on the football field. Exactly. All right. Now you wanted to preview a big weekend of AA hockey coming up here. So the Thunderhawks will be facing off against the Spuds and the Hail Mary Pioneers.
The Spuds on Friday night.
Are those here?
Yep, both are here. 7:00 on Friday night. The Thunderhawks will hit the Spuds here at the IRA Civic Center. And just the most current rankings that I saw through Let's Play Hockey, just as of updated today and on January 19th, they had the Spuds rated number 8 and the Thunderhawks rated number 9. So two top 10 teams rated right next to each other, and you can flip a coin on any given day. That's going to be a phenomenal game. This is a team that the Thunderhawks have had their way with over the years, and that team has had their way with the Thunderhawks. So it's been a back and forth battle since Pee-wees with these two teams facing off against each other. And I can go back a few years when I coached this group of seniors as Bantam AA's. We played against this Moorhead team after we had already lost the region championship game to Roseau. So Roseau gets the bid and goes to the state tournament for AA Bantams. Moorhead's working their way through the back door, and they face off against us, who just lost to Roseau, to play for the next seat going to the state tournament. and Moorhead beat us to go to the state tournament. So we ended up taking third in the tournament. They took second. They went down to the state tournament. Well, 2 weeks later, all three of these teams again, Roseau, Grand Rapids, and Moorhead, all played again down at, or I should say over at in Thief River at the state VFW tournament. Yeah. And of course, lo and behold, this Minnesota MAHA tournament is over at this point in time. Now we're playing for VFW honors. Grand Rapids beats Moorhead in overtime. And in the third place game, Grand Rapids beats Roseau. Both teams that beat us to go to the state tournament for MAHA, we beat in the state VFW tournament. So there's, and even games during the year, it was split against these teams during the season too. So this is going to be a really good matchup for Grand Rapids. It's going to test to see how has our schedule prepared us? How have we prepared ourselves to be playing high level hockey? From this point forward, there are really no downtimes for the Thunderhawks. It's go time for the rest of the year, all the way through this schedule and into playoffs. Saturday afternoon at 3:00, the Thunderhawks will host the Pioneers. Hill Murray is going to be in town. They are rated a couple of different spots, whether you're going to put them at 2 or 3 in the state right now. Andover is number 1 in the state, who we play here in a couple of weeks. But Hill Murray has been at the 3 spot. They've been at the 2 spot on a couple of different polls. There you go. I mean, game on, you're going to see some pretty decent crowds, I would think, over the course of the weekend at the IRA. That's going to be some of the best hockey that we've seen in the area.
Well, yeah, and looking through that roster for Hill Murray, you got the Godbout name and the Sampaire name and the Bonin name. And, you know, for those of you listening or watching that are, you know, Reed's age, you recognize those names, that's for sure. You know, just kind of a reload thing there at Hill Murray.
Well, and like I said, there's a reason why, you know, when that building opens up at whatever time it is on Saturday afternoon, there's a reason why you'll see at least 5 or 6 NHL scouts in the building. There's a reason.
For sure. All right, a word from Minnesota Hockey Camps.
Minnesota Hockey Camps in Breezy Point, Minnesota. They offer hockey camps in the summertime. There's skill training, there's dry land training, there's 2 ice sessions a day. They opened up the site, opened up registration now just of the last couple of days to get going to register for Minnesota Hockey Camps. It has always been known and will continue to be known as where the pros train. So if you're looking for a great place to go, Breezy Point, Minnesota, look it up, minnesotahockeycamps.com, and you'll see right away when you log into that URL, registration is open and ready to rock and roll for the summer of 2022.
Awesome. Yes, perfect. Get on the list. This is your chance. Get on there right now. All right, some scores to run through from the week. Rock Ridge rolled North Shore 10-0 last night. Peterson and Headley with 2 goals each. Giddy up, nice work. Ian Kangas with an assist, the goalie.
That's always fun to talk about a goaltender that's going to get the puck up the ice fast enough for that to equate into some sort of offensive opportunity. So you always got to throw that little, hey, nice job, get that point. That's not what your job is, but when you get that, you get that opportunity, that shows that you're paying attention to the game. You probably caught somebody on a line change and you made a great pass out of the zone, great breakout pass out of the zone. It's nice when you got a goaltender that can be a third defenseman on the rink for you.
Yeah, that stuck out to me right away in the box scores. 2-1. Proctor beats I Falls, which is a little closer than I thought. Nice job there, I Falls. Brainerd 5-3 over Bemidji. Greenway whipped Ely 9-1, and then over the weekend, the big one up here in the north, Warroad 1, Hermantown 2, down at Hermantown Saturday afternoon. First loss for the Warriors this year.
Yeah, first loss for the Warriors, but I'll tell you, that was in a crowd where if you go into that little tin can of a building over in Hermantown, that you probably had 1,600 people jammed into that building, and it's not supposed to even have half that many people in there. So that was the premier game in the state of Minnesota for single A hockey. Anybody that tuned into that game, whether they watched it on iFan or were there in person, or Youth Hockey Hub had that going at the same time, whether you tuned in from one of those few options, you got one heck of a hockey game from what I heard. I didn't get a chance to watch the entire game. I saw some clips from it. Both teams are going to be ready and rearing when it comes to the state tournament. And believe me, those two teams may be facing off against each other in the state championship.
Oh, absolutely. And that was an overtime game, correct?
Yep.
Hermantown beat them in overtime. All right, just a few tidbits here. Speaking of the Hawks, former Hawk and former UMD Bulldog, Dylan Sandberg made his NHL debut last week, January 13, at Detroit, and playing for the Winnipeg Jets, and of course playing alongside Dominic Toninato from the Duluth area and Neil Pionk, also playing for Winnipeg from Hermantown. 5 block shots for the big guy and an apple. So congratulations, Dylan. That's cool and really cool. Something we didn't see in our generation. I mean, 3 kids from the Twin Ports, all on the same team, all playing in the same game and in the NHL. Hopefully a sign of things to come in the future here.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. I mean, we've talked about, the guys that have gone, to the NHL from Hibbing, and we've talked about the number of guys from Grand Rapids and different areas like Virginia with Niskanen and some of these guys, and talked about their success over time. But it is very rare when you talk about a program that has 2 kids on the same, or 2 men on the same team from your program that are really not too they're close in age.
Yeah, right.
You got Neil Pionk and you got Dylan Sandberg, and they are both from Hermantown. And that is pretty cool. That is a feather in the cap of all of those that have worked so hard to get Hermantown to that dynasty level. And it just, the dynasty continues.
Absolutely. All right, let's circle back to Hill Murray here. Their top goalie, Nick Erickson. There's some news this week, or just this breaking couple days within the last 24 hours.
Yeah, this is one of the top goalies in the state. Could very well have been rated the number 1 goalie in the state of Minnesota coming back this year, and had 11 wins, I think, on the season, or 12 wins on the season. And just as of the last couple of days, has departed from Hill Murray, is no longer on the roster for Hill Murray. So there's another Erickson, not related, on that team. Will be starting in the next. And he's not too shabby either. Has had I believe the last 2 or 3 wins for Hill Murray. But yeah, when you lose the top goalie in the state, you're rated number 2 or number 3 in the state. Just going to make a few changes. I don't think that they're going to assume that makes too much difference for them. They can just reload goaltenders. They are a private school in the cities, and they've probably looked at every avenue as far as making sure they protect that from hurting people or hurting their program. So they do have another goaltender. He's been filling in just fine over the course, but Grand Rapids will see these guys on Saturday and be able to test off that number 2 goalie in their lineup and see what happens there. Is he worthy of holding and standing up for that number 2 or number 3 ranked team in the state? I guess we'll see when he comes into the IRA Civic Center. Rapids did see that Nick Erickson in a scrimmage in the preseason, and it was a pretty tight matchup between those 2 teams, with Miles Gunderson in one net and Nick Erickson in the other net. So it was a pretty good matchup.
Yeah, and Miles Gunderson, some press on him this week.
Yeah, Follow the Puck put out a list of some of the top goalies with the most wins in the state of Minnesota. Miles Gunderson ranking at the number 3 spot for most wins in the state. The number 1 spot was Lakinski from Warroad. I think he had 15 wins up to that point. Miles Gunderson has 12 at the moment. That was good for number 3 for most wins for goaltenders in the state. So pretty cool.
Awesome. All right, that should pretty much wrap it. Anything else?
No, I think just looking forward to some great hockey. And like we said, there's some great area hockey coming up here this weekend, and more to come. Some intense schedules, like we said, for Grand Rapids continuing on with their intense schedule. You'll see Section 7A starting to ramp up, Greenway starting to climb in theirs, and Hibbing still firing off on all cylinders for area hockey. So it's good to see, and it was really good to see Rock Ridge come out with some confidence and show people what that co-op has got and what their abilities will be here in the near future. So good to see great hockey, and we're looking forward for the next week.
All right. Comment. Especially if you've heard anything on this Nick Erickson with Hill Murray, please let us know. Goatsportsmediallc LLC, if you'd like to contact us privately. Otherwise, like I said, just feel free to comment. Like I said, if you dig what we're doing here, share with the hockey faithful. Thanks to all of our partners: Blue Line Brews, the Ring Sports Bar and Grill, Outdoor Rink Apparel, Iron Range Apparel, Minnesota Hockey Camps, and Iron Range Goalie Academy. Right there. For Reed Larson, I am Puka. Get out there and be your dream. You're tuned to the Tea with Ms. McGill show.